Hello, my name is Nicholas Carrel, and I'm gonna show you my workflow to make presentation into the CryEngine 3. So as you can see, this is a little guy I did for the BioWare challenge on CG Hub, and I'm gonna use these models to show you the workflow I did, starting from exporting the models, setting up the materials, placing the lights, taking screenshots, and making a turntable of these guys. So here we go. So the first thing you're gonna have to do is to install the CryEngine, of course, and you can download the CryEngine on the website crydev.net. So just go to this website, click on the download the free SDK, and you should have a zip file you can unzip wherever you want. And for example, me, I choose to put that on my e-disk, and this is my CryEngine folder. When it's done, you're gonna have to install the plugin for 3ds Max or Maya XSI for your 3D software, and one plugin as well for Photoshop. So to install that, just go to the CryDev, still the CryDev.net, go to the doc, CryEngine 3 SDK, and then go to Asset Creation Guide. Go to the Getting Started topic and installing Exporter plugin. And you should have all the instructions needed to install your plugin. So choose the software you're using, if it's 3ds Max, Maya, or XSI, and pay attention as well for the CryChief plugin. That's gonna be the plugin for Photoshop. So you have to install two plugins, one for your 3D package and one for Photoshop. Alright, when it's done, we're gonna be able to open our 3D package. I'm using 3ds Max, so everything I'm gonna show will be in 3ds Max, but I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be pretty much the same in Maya. It's kind of the same plugin for Maya XSI, so it should be the same workflow anyway. So even if you're using Maya, it should be easy to follow. So when 3ds Max is done opening, you should have windows like this that pop up, and you have to pay attention to the root directory if the path is the right, so it is for me, and check as well to this little icon. It should be green. If it's red, that means you got a problem somewhere. So it's green for me. I'm gonna click on save, and now I'm into 3ds Max. I'm gonna open my file. Alright, so this is my little guy. As you can see, I rigged the guy, but we're gonna export it as a static object. I just rigged it only because I wanted to pose him much quicker. So I'm gonna put him into his pose. As you can see, I tried several poses until I found the one I like the most. So this is the last one, this one. I'm gonna isolate the mesh so we won't see the bones anymore. Alright, so this is what I want to export. And like I said, we're gonna export this as a static object. So I'm gonna collapse the skin modifier. I don't need it. Alright. And now I need to create the material for this guy. So I'm gonna open Photoshop, and I'm gonna show you how to export the map for this little guy. So I'm gonna open the map that I'm gonna need for this. This is the normal, this and this. It takes a little bit of time. Alright, and as you can see, I'm using several maps, and this is because I'm using two sets of texture. I got the one with the fry pan and all the accessories. I'm gonna have the diffuse, specular, and normal map for this, and it's a 1024 by 1024 pixels. And I'm gonna have as well one for the body and for the head, and as you can see there is a hat and kind of the cloth thing around the hat. And this one is much larger. It's 2048 by 2048 pixel. And same thing, it's the diffuse, specular, and normal map. So I need to export that to the CryEngine. So I'm gonna show you for some of them, not for every map that I got, because it could be boring. So I'm gonna start with the diffuse of the body. So choose Save As and go to the folder where you want to export that. And I choose to put that into the CryEngine folder, the game folder, objects folder, and the name that I choose for the into the presentation tutorial folder. Alright, so I'm gonna export all my map into this folder. Oh yeah, and this is really important. When you're gonna export the mesh, you're gonna have to export into the game folder. It can be into another folder under the game folder, but it has to be under the game folder, because if it's not in the game folder, the CryEngine won't be able to read your mesh. So this is really important. So since I like to put my texture into the same folder as my mesh, that's why I choose this path, game, objects, and the name of my object, which gonna be presentation tutorial. Alright, so I choose to call that Mass Effect _body_diff. Click on save, and you should have a new window that pop up. And this what is it? Oh, come on. Alright. And this is gonna be useful to set up the parameters for the exports. So you can during the export you can ask the CryEngine to reduce, for example, the size of your texture, or to choose the preset for the compression. So since this is a diffuse texture, I'm gonna choose the preset diffuse high Q, which is the best quality. And if you look at this, you see that when it's gonna be exported, our texture gonna be 1024 by 1024. But my original texture is 20 by 48 by 2048, and so by default, pay attention to that. The CryEngine exporter gonna reduce the size of your texture, but this is not what we want. So click on the PC line, and then click on higher resolution, and now it should be alright. Now we should export something that is 2048 by 2048. Alright, so click on save. I don't know what's going on. Alright, my texture is there, so it worked. Got some weird thing, but it seems like it worked, so that's fine for me. And I'm gonna show you for the normal map as well. I'm gonna do the same thing. Go to the folder where I want that. So same thing. It's gonna be into the CryEngine folder, game folder, objects folder, and then presentation tutorial. And this is as well really important, so pay attention to that. If you planning to export a normal map, the name of your normal map needs to finish by _ddn, and that's really important, because if you don't put this suffix, it will be considered as a bump map by the game engine, by the engine. And since this is a normal map, you have to put underscore DDN at the end, right? So now I'm gonna choose the preset normal map high Q. By default it should be 1024 by 1024. This is not what I want, so I'm gonna click on PC and click on higher resolution. Alright, so now it's the right side. Click on OK, and voila, my normal map is exported. I'm gonna do the same thing for all the texture, and but I'm not gonna show it because it's a little bit boring. So I'm gonna pause the video right now. Right, so it's done. I finished to export all the map I needed. So I'm going back to 3ds Max, and now I'm gonna set up my material. So before doing that, I need to point out that this character is using several IDs. Because I got several set of texture, I need several IDs. So as you can see, I got the ID 1, this one, which is the head and the body, and which is gonna use the texture, the big texture with the body in it. And this is my ID 2, which is the fry pan and the accessories, which gonna use the other texture, the other set of texture. But I've got also the ID 3, which is the hat and the kind of the scarf thing. And actually what it is why I separate this from the body, even if they are using the same texture. It's because into the engine, since the hat is a close beef, I'm gonna need a specific shaders for that, a specific shaders that do only close but do it really well. So that's why I need to separate it into a different ID. So I'm gonna be able to use a different shader from the body. And I got my ID 4, which is this little part there, and which is gonna be glasses actually, which is gonna be glass. So that's why it's another shader that I'm gonna use into the CryEngine. So that's why I need to separate it in another ID as well. So that means I got 4 IDs for this character. So when I'm gonna create my material, I'm gonna need to create a multi-sub object. Alright, and the multi-sub object with 4 different materials, just like this. And now I'm gonna set up all the 4 materials. So I'm gonna start with the first one. Use a standard material for this, but this is really important. Pay attention to this. Into the shader basic parameters, you have to choose the CryText shader. This is really important. So choose the CryText shader, and into the map, just bind the map for this little guy. So I'm gonna go to my folder, and this is the diffuse. Right, I need the specular, and the bump normal. Right, just tick the little icon, so it's gonna be able to see it into the viewport. And actually I'm gonna assign the multi-sub object to my character. So I'm just gonna click, and as you can see, I can already see my diffuse displayed onto my character. So that's nice. Oh, I forgot to rename it correctly. So this is the material for my body. I'm gonna do the same thing for the ID2, which gonna be the fry pan. So I'm gonna call that fry pan, use the CryText shader, go to the map. Actually, I think I'm gonna pause the video because it's quite boring to see. So yeah, I'm gonna pause the video. Alright, so it's done. So I got my 4 materials set up correctly. As you can see, CryText shaders are my map as being binded correctly. So it should work. Yes. Right. Oh, I just forgot to click on this, so now I'm able to see that into the viewport. Nice. Alright, so now we're gonna save the max file. This is important. You need to save the max file before exporting your mesh, and you need to save the max file into the same folder as where you're gonna export your mesh. So for me, it's gonna be into my CryEngine folder. So it's gonna be into the CryEngine folder, game, objects, presentation tutorial, and this is where I got the texture that I exported previously. So I'm gonna rename it presentation tutorial. Alright, so I got my max file saved, so now I'm ready to export the material and the mesh into the CryEngine. Before exporting your material, I suggest you to open the CryEngine before exporting it. It's better to have the CryEngine open when you're doing that. So I'm gonna do that right now. So when I'm open the CryEngine, you should have a login window that pop up, and that means every time you're using the CryEngine, you need to log in to crydev.net. So that means the first time you're gonna use the CryEngine, you need to register to crydev.net. Alright, so I'm gonna log it in the crydev, and here we go. We are into the sandbox editor. I'm gonna close this little window, and now I'm gonna be able to go back to 3ds Max and export my material. So if you go into the CryEngine free exporter, if you go at the really bottom, you should be able to see 2 buttons, sync material and create material. The sync material button's gonna let you import CryEngine material into the 3ds Max, while the create material is gonna export the 3ds Max material into the CryEngine. So this is what we want. So select your material, and be sure that you are into the first level of your material, not something like that, because something like that won't work correctly. You have to be into the parent of your multi-sub object. So alright, this is fine. So when you're ready, click on create material, and now you should be it should open the CryEngine for you, and we're gonna specify where we want to save the file for the material. So I'm gonna use the same folder, which is CryEngine, game, objects, presentation tutorial, and I'm gonna call that presentation tutorial as well. Alright, so click on save, and here we go. This is my material. Sorry. So as you can see, I got all the right number of IDs correctly set up, and the map as well. I'm just missing the normal map, I don't know why, but I'm just gonna set up correctly into the CryEngine, no big deal. So this is the Mass Effect body DDN for normal map. This one's gonna use the fry pan. The clothes is using the body set of texture, and the glass is using the fry pan. Alright, so everything should be fine for now. So back to 3ds Max again, and now we're gonna export the mesh itself. So I'm gonna close the material editor, I don't need it anymore, and I'm gonna go at the top of the CryEngine free exporter panel, and I need to select my mesh, and into the geometry export, this is where there is all the options we need for exporting static object into the CryEngine. So select your character and click on add selected, and everything that is in this list gonna be exported to the CryEngine. That means you can export several objects at the same time if you want, but I got only one object, so I'm just gonna need to export this Mass Effect, this character. So pay attention, you need to have the export file per node checked, and if you've got vertex color, you need to check this option too. And we're gonna choose the path for where we're gonna export the mesh. So for me, it's gonna be again CryEngine folder, game folder, objects folder, and then presentation tutorial. I'm gonna call that Mass Effect CGF. Save it and just click on export nodes. Alright, and if everything is going fine, the windows should close right after that. Okay. Alright, so now we got everything set up correctly, so we're gonna be able to create our scene into the CryEngine to work with. So I'm gonna close the material editor, save, change, and wait a minute, that's kind of weird. Where is... Oh yeah, that's why. Okay, I'm gonna close the material editor, go into file, new. No, I'm not gonna change anything into that. And now I'm gonna be able to specify some parameters for my new scene. So we're gonna start with the name of the level, which is gonna be presentation tutorial again for me. And since we're using a scene only for presentation, we don't need something really big. So I'm gonna use a resolution, the minimum resolution and the minimum meters per unit. So we're gonna have a pretty small terrain. Oops, I'm sorry, I already created something called like this. I'm just gonna delete that. Okay, I'm gonna redo it again. It's gonna be much easier to follow. Click on new, presentation tutorial. So the smallest resolution and the smallest meters per unit. Okay. And this window gonna ask you if you want to share your project with someone else or not. You're gonna have two options, none or global share. If you use global share, that means anybody gonna be able to open your file. If you choose none, only you with your login gonna be able to open the file. That means if you're sharing your level with someone else, he won't be able to open it. So I'm gonna use a global share. Click on OK, and same thing, since I don't need a big terrain, I'm gonna use the minimum texture dimension for the terrain. Okay, so here we go. We are now into the CryEngine. So to navigate into the CryEngine, it's quite easier. You just have to click to right click to rotate the camera. So as you can see, I'm rotating the camera. If I want to move into the viewports, it's like in any FPS, it's with the W, A, S, and D key of your keyboard. So yeah, I'm moving really slow. It's because you can adjust the speed of your movement just right here. So you see right now my movement speed is 0.1. If I choose 1, I'm gonna move much quicker. Alright. By default, CryEngine is gonna give you some water for your level, but we don't need water for our presentation. So we're gonna go to the terrain menu, edit terrain, and in this window you should be able to paint the height map for your terrain if you want. We don't need that, so it's okay. And go to the modify and remove ocean. Now there is no ocean anymore, and this is our terrain. Just write the speed parameters. Just be sure that this little icon is checked, because when it's checked, you won't be able to go through the floor when you are moving into the viewport. If I uncheck that, you see I'm gonna go through the floor. It's quite annoying, I think, so I prefer to check that. Alright, so yeah, we're gonna start to import our mesh into the terrain. So for that, we're gonna go into geom entity, into the object rollout. Go to geom entity, go to object folder, and look at your presentation tutorial folder, and you should be able to see your mesh. If you can't see it, maybe try to click on reload. It's gonna reload the game folder for you. So this is useful, for example, when you already got the CryEngine open and you import a new mesh from 3ds Max. You're gonna have to click on reload to be able to see it into this list. Alright, and before importing that into the viewport, pay attention that the follow terrain and snap to object icon just here is check. So that means when we're gonna click and drag into the viewport, it's gonna snap to the terrain. So I click and drag, and this is my little guy. Alright, click again, and now it's done. You got the little guy into your terrain. I'm gonna put my speed to something a little bit less, so it's much manageable. Alright, so far is really red, and this is because we didn't assign the material yet. So for that, we have to click on the M button to open the material editor, and go into the objects folder and presentation tutorial, and now we can see our material back. And pay attention that you need to select your character before assigning the right material to it. Okay, maybe I'm gonna show you how to select things into the CryEngine before assigning the material. It's gonna be much easier. So to do that, just click on the Shift and Space, and what it's gonna do is you're gonna go into a, I don't know how to call that. I'm gonna call actually when you click on Shift and Space, you're gonna toggle between displaying all the helpers and like for example the bounding box or this kind of things. And when you are into this mode, if you keep pressing to space, you see I got a little box at the pivot point of my guy, and when I put my mouse onto this box, I got my character highlighted. So now if I click on it, I should be able to select this guy. And actually this is really useful when you got a lot of objects into your scene and you want to precisely select one of them. Just click on the spacebar and you're gonna be able to select the pivot point to select the object you want. and it's easy when you got a lot of objects. It's much easier this way. And why I'm doing this instead of directly clicking on the my character, it's because I didn't set up any collision box or physical proxy for this guy. So if I click on it, nothing happens because there is no yeah, physical proxy for this guy. So that's why I have to click on space and click on the pivot point for. Alright, so I'm gonna go back to the material editor, try to find my material into the presentation tutorial folder, click on the material, and just click on this button, which is assign item to selected object. Then, so I've got some weird things going on here, I don't know why. Oh, maybe it's because I didn't assign the right IDs for the ID 5. Oh yeah, this is because this is some colored glass, so that's why I separate them onto another ID again. I forgot that. It's not a problem. So I'm gonna go back to the CryEngine actually, and if I right click onto the presentation tutorial, you see I can click on the set number of submaterials, and now I can say I want 5 submaterials, and we're gonna add a new submaterial. So I'm gonna rename it as a color glass, okay, and oh, sorry, and I'm gonna put the right material in it. So I'm gonna copy the diffuse texture, paste it, copy the spec as well, paste it, and copy the normal map. Right. So if you can see the preview, is just the name is not changed. It's you just have to go out and go back, and now it should be good now. So yeah, so now it's working on my character, so that's fine. All right. So for this scene, I'm gonna do an interior scene because I don't want to play with the sunlight, because I want to be able to place point light to have to have a lot of control onto my scene. I want to be able to play with point light, and if I do an exterior scene, the sunlight is so strong that I won't be able to put point light, and it's not gonna be really good. So for example, the shadows not gonna be maybe not strong enough for my test or this kind of thing. So I prefer to do an interior scene. So I'm gonna have to create something called into the area of the object roller bar, something called this area, and what it is I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna create one, and it's gonna be much easier to understand what it is. So if I right click on the perspective label there in the corner of my viewport, I go to the view, and I'm gonna go to the top view. So this is my top view, and this is the mesh, my character there. If you can't see your character, it's maybe because you're not in the shift space mode. So for example, I can see nothing, so if you can't see anything, click on shift space, and you should be able to see the name. Alright, and I'm gonna click on this area, and I'm gonna build a box around my character, like this, and I'm gonna double click to close my box. Alright, and I'm gonna go back to my perspective view, and now you see a lot of strange thing is happening. And this is because inside of my box there is no light coming from the outside, so that means the sunlight won't go into the light, into the vis area, but anything that is outside this box won't be rendered at all. So that means even the skybox won't be rendered, and the terrain is outside the box as well, so that's why we can't see it anymore. But if I go out of the box, so you can see the delimitation of the box. If I go out of the box, you see that now I can see the skybox, I can see my terrain, but I can't see the character. This is because he is inside. So everything that is inside the vis area won't be seen outside the vis area. But as you can see, I got a problem right now. I got some weird things going on, and this is because nothing is rendered in the background. Even the skybox is not rendered, so that's why I got some weird things happening into the background. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create kind of a floor and a ceiling and walls actually, where I'm gonna put my character into. So that means I'm gonna have a background to render. So I'm gonna go back to 3ds Max, go to the create panel, and I'm gonna go into the top view, choose the extended primitives, and I'm gonna shoot the chamfer cylinder. Right? So I'm gonna create something quite big. Oops, sorry. Quite big like this. Go back to the primitive view, the perspective view, sorry. And now you see my character is at the inside of the cylinder. I'm gonna pump the side, and I'm gonna add some chamfer to my cylinder like this. I'm gonna add some edge in some segment for the fillet, and I'm gonna add more segment for the cylinder, something like that. So now you can see I got my my floor, and yeah, I'm gonna call that a floor, and I'm gonna convert that into an editable poly. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna flip the faces right now, right like this. And if I right click and select object properties, I'm gonna check the back face skull. So now you should be able, you see now that I see only the back face, and this is what I want. I want to see the wall when I'm inside the cylinder. So this is perfect. So I'm gonna export this into the CryEngine. So go to the CryEngine pre-exporter. Make sure that you've selected your cylinder. Click on Add Selected. Actually, I'm gonna give a proper name for that. Alright, I'm gonna choose a path for this. I'm gonna call that flow. And I'm gonna click on Export Node. And now it's done. So back to the CryEngine, go to the geom entities, and you see I can't see the floor object right now. So this is because I need to reload the list. And now, yeah, now I can see that. So pay attention to have the follow terrain snap to object check, and click and drag into your scene. So right now I can't see the floor, and this is because my vis area, the height of my vis area is too low. So that means if I go out, you see that my floor is going out of the vis area. So I need to to pump the height of the vid area. So right now, right now it's working. So I've got what I want. This is exactly what I wanted. So there is no light coming from the sun. We got an interior scene with something to render into the background. Wherever I see, there is something to render, so that's nice. So now I'm gonna create the material for the floor. So go back to the material editor. We're gonna go to the presentation tutorial folder, and I'm gonna right click on it and choose add new material. I'm gonna call this floor. And now I got a new material. And for the diffuse, I'm gonna use a gray material that I already created. This one. This is just something really simple. It's just a 50% gray, and the size is really small. It's 128 by 128 pixel. I don't need something big because it's just a uniform color. So I exported that as a creative plugin and just choose diffuse IQ, yeah, and the size is alright. Just click on OK, go back to the CryEngine and go into your folder presentation tutorial and choose the creative like this, and now I can assign that to my floor. Oops, I have to pay attention that my floor is selected. Yeah, I did a mistake because I put my floor exactly, the pivot point of my floor is exactly where my character is, so I'm just gonna select my character. You can uncheck the snap to grid, we don't need it, and I'm just gonna move a little bit my character. So now I'm gonna be able to select the floor, click on the floor easily, like this, and I can assign the material on it. And voila, we got our scene set up quickly. And the first thing you can notice is that you already got light. Even if I said that no light is coming into the vid area, you still can see light. And why you can see light? It's because if I select the vid area, I'm gonna select it. You see that by default there is some ambient lighting, ambient color. So everything that is inside the vid area is gonna be affected by this ambient color. So I see if I change this, if I change the color, I'm gonna change the color of the ambient light. So that's why we got some light so far. I'm gonna choose something quite low. I don't want too much ambient light. And now we're gonna be able to put our first light into our scene. So into the entity menu, you should be able to go to the lights folder, and you see you have the choice with three lights: the standard light, the one we're gonna use, the destroyable light. It's useful if you want a light that it can be destroyed by shooting on it, for example. And another one that I don't know what it is, so I'm not gonna use it. So I'm gonna use the standard light. Again, make sure that the follow terrain and snap to object is checked, and click and drag into the scene. Alright, I can see nothing so far because I need to lift up a little bit. Here we go, we got our first light. Looks pretty nice. Or not, depending. So if I'm looking into the if I'm looking into the option in the parameters of my light, you see that I got several choices. I've got the active parameter is gonna activate another light. The radius thing is, let me go back to the shift space mode. With the shift space mode, you see that I can see the radius of my light, and I can play with it, reduce it, or make it bigger, make it less, right? I can change the color of my light here, making something green, blue, whatever. And this is gonna be the multiplier for each of the channel. We got the diffuse and the spec. So for example, yeah, so far our character don't have any specular on it. This is because I forget to explain that. So I'm gonna go back to the material editor. I'm gonna select my shader, and this is because by default the specular color is black, and I need to put it to something. I'm gonna put that to the maximum value, so white. So you see that now I got specular on my body, and it's looking quite ugly. So right now, and this is because I'm gonna show you something. If I open my specular map into Photoshop, you see that this is my specular, and into my channel I got an alpha, and the alpha is gonna be the gloss map for my specular map, right? So that means my specular map gonna have colors in it, and my alpha channel, which is gonna be the gloss map, is a grayscale map, alright? And I need to tell CryEngine that there is an alpha, and the alpha is gonna be the gloss map for the alpha of the specular is gonna be the gloss map. So still into the material editor, if I go to the shader generation parameter, I need to click on gloss map in specular alpha. Just click on this, and now, oh yeah, now it's working, but we can't see it right now because same thing that with the specular color, I need to bump the glossiness at its maximum, so I can use the maximum range of glossiness. Alright, so if I don't have the gloss map in specular alpha checked, you see that everything is super glossy. And if I use my gloss map, I'm gonna be able to control the gloss of my character. So I'm gonna do that for all the material, sub-material. Specular really high, and gloss map to the maximum. Right, now it's done. So now you see I got my specular working correctly. So back to the parameter of my light. So you can see I got several parameters I can play with. I can increase or decrease the diffuse influence of the light. So for example, I can have a lot of diffuse coming out, or for example, if you it can be useful, for example, if you want to bump the highlight somewhere, you want to see the strong specular, you can put a light with 0 into the multiplier, and I'm saying bullshit actually. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. I don't know why. Sorry about that. So forget about this. I don't know the CryEngine enough, I guess. Alright. So let's keep going into the parameters of our light. What we need to pay attention also is this cast shadows. You see right now this is never never gonna cast shadow. And if I click on it, I got several options, and this is actually you can determine actually where the light's gonna cast shadow. And for example, that if I choose the low spec, it's gonna cast shadow at with the when the config space, the minimum config space is low. So that means actually that means it's gonna cast shadow every time. For example, if I choose high spec, if my config space is low, I won't be able to see the shadow. Same for the medium, because the shadow gonna be cast only with starting with the high spec. Oh yeah. So with the medium, you don't have any shadow, and as soon as you choose the high spec, you see that the shadows start coming out. So it doesn't matter which one you choose, you just have to choose one, because anyway you're gonna be since for the presentation, you're always gonna be into always gonna choose a very high config spec. So here it is. So now we got this light casting shadows, and if you want the light casting shadow mask, for example, you can put a map in it. Alright, so I'm gonna put several different lights. So I'm gonna make one key light and 2 rim lights. So this is gonna be my first rim light. And my second one. So I'm just gonna enable them so far. And I'm gonna rename it correctly. So this one is gonna be my key light. Alright, so right now it's a little bit strong, so and I want something kind of a little bit orange. Something like that is nice. Alright, so this one gonna be my blue orange rim light. And I'm gonna reduce the radius because right now it's a little bit too strong. I'm gonna put it much closer to my little guy. Something like that. I want it to cast shadow as well. There we go. And like I said, it's gonna be orange and a little bit stronger. And the last one gonna be my blue rim light. So I'm gonna put it a little bit closer. Something like that. And activate it. The radius too strong. Something like that is fine. Select a kind of a cyan, blue cyan color. Yeah, we're gonna cast shadow as well. Alright. So far it's not that bad, but as you can see, we got big spot on the floor, and this is not really good looking. So I'm gonna show you a quick tip I'm using to be able to attenuate this kind of big spot of light onto the floor, which is not really good to see. So I'm gonna select the material, the material of the floor, and I'm gonna put a little bit of glue amount. The glue amount is gonna be the kind of like the emissive. Wait a minute. Yeah, the emissive color is for, yeah, forget about it. We're gonna use the glue amount, so I'm gonna put a value in it, something like maybe half of the glue, and with the diffuse color, even if I'm using a gray texture, a gray map, I still can't be able to play with the diffuse color. Actually, what it's gonna do is gonna multiply this color with my diffuse texture. So you see, I'm still can play with the color of my background really easily. And since I put a little bit of glue amount, the spot onto the floor is really less noticeable now, which is much nicer, I think. So I'm gonna choose something darker. Maybe something like that. Alright, I think it's much better. So maybe I'm gonna crank a little bit the value of this one. Alright, and the last thing that is gonna miss is the ambient color, and I'm gonna show you something that is really neat if you want to add some reflection to your character. I'm gonna show you a way to do that really easily. And this is still into the sorry, I forgot. I think it's should be something called probe. Oh yeah, this is there. So this is into the MISC menu, and this is something called environment probe. And what it is gonna put that into the scene. Like this, just click on the environment probe and you should be able to put that into the scene. And this is where we're gonna put our cube map, so which is gonna generate the ambient light and the reflection to our character. So, and with this, you can also generate cube map from your level. So let's say, for example, you got a lot of objects in your scene. You got a landscape, you got something that you want to be reflected onto your character. You can use that and generate a cube map directly from your scene without using any map. Actually, you're gonna create this map for you. Or you can use as like we're gonna use it. You can add a custom cube map in it. So if you go into the option advanced, I can choose the cube map I want. So for example, I'm gonna go to my texture folder and to the cube map, and I'm gonna show maybe this one, the custom cube map. This is a cube map I created myself. Open, and now if I click on active, you see now that my cube map is working, and it's working too much. Actually, it's too strong, so I'm gonna reduce it a lot. So it's a little bit better. Right. Alright, so I got my cube map working. So far I got my reflection. I got already my lights, my scene is set up, and I'm probably gonna finish this first part of this tutorial right now. I'm gonna create a new I'm gonna create another video for the rest because it's gonna be too long. I didn't expect that it's gonna be that long, but I really wanted to go really slowly, so anybody will be able to follow this tutorial even if they never used the CryEngine before. So I'm gonna stop that, and I'll see you for the next time. Bye.